Hello, welcome to my review for the reboot of Hellboy. This is the 2019 version of Hellboy, and I really had no interest in seeing where this movie would go. I would have really preferred them to make a third Hellboy film because I really liked the first original Hellboy film, and I absolutely adore Hellboy 2. Hellboy 2 is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time, and I would have been much more happy to see a third of those movies, but instead we get a reboot. And let's talk about it. There are some pros to talk about in this movie, so let's talk through those. David Harbour does a solid job. I think he was solid as the character. The makeup and design for him was really, really impressive. I thought he had a lot of charisma to him, and I really, really enjoyed him in the role. He's in a lot of really good action sequences. There's an action scene towards the end that was in one take that I really liked. There's an action scene with some trolls that was really gory, and the movie is quite gory and has a lot of blood and everything. Definitely bumped up the R rating, but I felt some of the action scenes were solid, and I thought he was okay as Hellboy. Nowhere near as good as the amazingly performed Hellboy from the original films, but even though I thought he played a good performance in the movie, I felt the character was written really poorly. Same with all the characters in this movie, and that pretty much ends it for the good things in this movie. Everything else was pretty much as bland and forgettable as I expected it to be. This is a really bad reboot. This was a reboot that was unneeded, and it feels like it should have style, but it has not enough substance there to carry on with that style. Like, it makes it gorier, makes it bloodier, makes it... it changes some things up for Hellboy, but none of it adds to a compelling story, because this film just doesn't have a compelling story. The script was really bad, and this is one of those movies where it could just be a fine, bland film, but because it's so bland, it makes it bad, because this is a really bland movie that really just goes nowhere in any scene. All the characters felt really, really poorly written, and it felt just like the movie had no creativity in it. It just felt like a product. It didn't feel like a movie. It didn't feel like they were trying to tell a story. It just felt like, okay, let's reboot Hellboy, and let's not do it very well. The look of the movie also, the original two Hellboy films looked incredible, had these incredible set design and everything like this. This was just really bland. Some of the CG work is fine, but it just didn't look very interesting. It was very, very weakly directed. And even though there were some scenes that I really liked, I must admit I didn't like this film overall at all. I felt it was really, really bland. It was boring at times. It kept at a solid pace, but it really didn't do anything much. And if you've seen like the trailers, you've pretty much seen the entire film. I'd actually say the trailers are actually better edited than the movie. I feel the movie was really poorly edited. How scenes were cut together was really, really bad. And I just didn't feel the movie had any flow. It didn't have a flow of a story. It just felt like a series of scenes that they shot and just edited together and moved around. The script felt like a first draft. It was really bad, and the performances were pretty much bland. The story was bland. There was one character. It was this hog pig villain character who was just the most annoying character in the entire movie. I really didn't like that character. It was really annoying. The villains were extremely boring. The way they dealt with Hellboy's character is what we all expect from Hellboy. They don't do anything new or different here. And I felt the music choices were just trying to input a certain tone into the film and input a certain style, but it just didn't work because you had no care for anything that was going on. This is a really bad movie, and even though there were things I liked, overall, just I didn't like this movie overall. It just didn't have much in for me. It was very weak, and just an unneeded reboot, and a film that just didn't have anything going for it, and that's its biggest issue. There just wasn't anything there to warrant its existence for me, and it just felt really, really weak in that aspect. I really wasn't a big fan of this new Hellboy, as I'm a big fan of the other Hellboys, but I wouldn't recommend seeing this one. It's just forgettable. It's a really forgettable movie, and a movie that I wouldn't care to watch again. I probably won't remember tomorrow. Overall, I'm going to give Hellboy 2019 a D. I'm also going to give this movie a 2 out of 10. Don't see this one. Guys, comment down below your opinions on Hellboy if you did see it, and of course, thank you for watching. Goodbye.